and good Friday morning, September the 24th, 2021, 8 a.m. on the East Coast, 5 a.m. on the West Coast. It is time for another episode of Just Talking Life, presented by your friends at Elite Realty Group. Glad to be with you guys this morning. Got a great show for you today. One that I really think you're going to like this morning. I think you're going to have a good time discussing with me today. Just Talking Life as we do that. That's what we do on this show is 100% we talk life. So I've got some good stuff for you today. Talking about love and happiness and how that's going to help all of us in our life. How we can find that, how we can benefit from that. A lot of things we're going to discuss today here on this show. I'm glad to be with you. I'm glad that you've took time out of your schedule to hang in, come in, hang out with me. I appreciate that. Again, as always, when we go live, I want you to do a couple things for me this morning. As you can see, I'm riding again all by my lonesome. Dave had another appointment this morning that he had to be at, so here it is. Dave's not a slacker, Nicole. He had stuff that he had to take care of. So I really appreciate you guys for tuning in. Got some good stuff for you today. Again, I want you to do some things for me, though. Help me get a big show, okay? No matter what channel you're watching me on today, whether it be my channel, the company page, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, all those places, whatever you got to do to get people to watch the show, get them to watch it today, because I really do think that this is good stuff this morning. I think that you're going to really enjoy this today because, I mean, again, love and happiness, who doesn't want that? That's what I'm going to be discussing with you today. I'm actually going to tell you 3 ways to finally love yourself and find happiness in your life. That's where we're going to go with this conversation today. But as always, when we just talk life on this show, it seems like this is the show that you guys are more probably active in the chat box. You're active as far as your comments and your thoughts on probably any other show that we do. So I want you to do that today. I want you to like the video. I want you to share the video. I want you to invite some friends to the video this morning and comment. Let me know where you're watching from this morning. I would really appreciate that. Again, know that we're going to have a big crowd, a big show today. Again, every time that we go live, you guys help us to be seen. You help us reach out and touch thousands of people every time, depending upon the platforms that we are on. Again, we're seen on so many, and that's all because you guys help us. So help us out again this morning by liking, sharing, invite, and comment. And tell me where you are this morning. Say good morning. Say something. Give some comments. Say hey to each other. Whatever it is that you need to do this day, I want you to do that. Every time we go live on this show, we try to give you some life tips. We try to give some life tricks if you would have it. But we simply just decided to do this show because we said, hey, you know, a lot of people in life, they're always looking to be better, and I think you should be. And people are, you know, we're trying to make our lives better. We're trying to do things. But there's just a fact of the matter is some people are farther along. They're a little bit ahead of some of us on that journey as far as they're kind of getting things together and figuring everything out. And they do this and they do that. And if we could just open up a forum, if we could put a place where all of us could start talking and saying, hey, you know, I've had a hard time doing this before. I've dealt with this. I've struggled with this. We can give each other the comments, the tips, and the tricks. And maybe, just maybe, we could help each other make our lives a little bit better. And after all, I think that would be something good for each and every one of us to do. So again, I say good morning to each and every one of you. I'll give some shout outs this morning and then we'll get going on the show today again because I got some great material that I think you're going to like. Good morning, Grandma Rose. Good morning, Nicole. Good morning, Greg Harrison from West Virginia. Good morning, Shaban. Good morning, Amy. Good morning to each and every one of you. Again, we appreciate you for being with us this morning. Here's what we're talking about today, all right? I want you to talk. Good morning, Charlie Grooms. Here's what we're going to talk about today, okay? 3 ways I'm going to talk with you about just a few things. 3 ways to finally love yourself and finally get to that happiness, that place that you've been trying to get to for a while in your life. There's 3 little things that I believe you can do. And it's really going to help you to be able to find where you can finally get to a place where you love yourself. Now, I would say, if I would ask for a show of hands this morning, and I won't do this, I won't put you on the spot, but if I could ask for a show of hands this morning about who would, who loves just everything that they got going on in their life right now, who's totally 100% satisfied, probably a lot of people would say no. Now, I'm not saying everybody would. But there's probably a good chance that there would not be all of us that could say, yes, we're just totally happy. We love everything about everything that's going on. Matter of fact, I would think that it would probably be a little bit the opposite of that. There would probably be more of us that would say, Yep, need a little bit of help. I need a little bit of work. There's some things I got to get in order to finally get to that place in my life. I firmly believe this morning these three things that we're going to talk about today, these three little tips, that if we can put these in place in our life, I really do think that you will get to that place sooner rather than later, that you're finally okay. You know what I'm saying? You're starting to be all right with yourself. And you're starting to really get to that happiness that you've been looking for in your life. I've got three of them. Again, like, share, invite, comment on the video. Let me know where you're watching from this morning. I would appreciate that. Here's tip number one. To finally get to where you're loving yourself. Now, you got to love yourself. I'm going to tell you that. That's a hard thing for us to say. But you ain't never going to find happiness if you ain't happy with yourself. If you don't love yourself. And that's easier said than done. Like, it's easy for me to tell you that. But it's a whole lot harder for me to actually do that, if that makes a little bit of sense. But it is true. Before you're going to be happy with anything else, before you're going to love anything else, you're going to have to love yourself. You're going to have to get to that place where you are totally okay with yourself. So here's number one. All right, here's number one. 3 ways to finally love yourself and find happiness. All right, and be happy with yourself. Number one is you need to stop comparing yourself to other people. Now, we've talked about this in many different ways, many different, shows that we've done. But man, if you've never heard this yet, you're going to have to stop doing that. All right, you're going to have to stop comparing yourself to other people, because when you start doing that and you look at these other people and you're comparing yourself to them, and we compare many different things. We'll dive into that conversation maybe in just a minute. But we compare like everything. We compare our shoes. We compare purses, we compare our hair, we compare our eyes, we compare our bodies, we compare whether we're, all of these things, we start comparing ourselves to other people. And this is what I'm going to tell you, okay? If you look long enough and hard enough, and you're comparing yourself to everything coming and going, you're always going to find something, someone, someplace, some moment in time in somebody else's life where you can look at it and you can say, guess what? They got it going on better than me. Here's the downfall to doing that. When you're comparing yourself to other people, here's the downfall to doing that. Over time, when you're comparing yourself to those other people, it takes a toll on what you think about yourself. It takes a toll on your own self-worth. You begin to look at yourself and compare yourself with other people, and it's okay for people to be at a different place in their life than what you are. You got to realize that. We've got to realize that today. Like, that's totally okay for those people to be at another place. But when you're comparing yourself and you're saying, hey, they're skinnier than me, they've got a newer phone than me, they drive a bigger car than me, they live in the neighborhood, and I don't do that, your self-worth that you begin giving to yourself just totally begins to drop. It totally begins to go down. And of course, when you think bad about yourself, how in the world can you expect yourself to be happy or love yourself when you just are dogging everything that you have in your life? So how can you stop doing that is the question. How can you stop to where you're looking at those things and you're saying, you know what? I can't comprehend. I can't get to these places. You got to stop comparing yourself to everybody else. Don't worry about other people, okay? They're going to do their thing. You got to let them do their thing. You got to do your thing. Now, I'm not telling you not to strive to be better. I think every single one of us every day should get up and try to be better than we were yesterday. I think that's 100%. We should strive to do those things. We should try that. But at the end of the day, if I look at it and I don't measure up to who I'm comparing myself to somebody else, I can't be dogging myself for it. I can't be getting down and saying, you know what, because I've not reached this place, I've not arrived, and my self-worth begins to go down about myself. Good morning, Joey Gibson. Thank you, man, for the comment. Good stuff, too. And you look at those things and you say, that's what people do. That's what we do. Social media, the society that we live in today, it's made us so easy to just compare ourselves and look at everything coming and going. And we say, if I don't have this, then I've not made it. Look, if you're going to find happiness and love yourself, you're going to have to stop comparing yourself to other people. There's a good book that I like to carry around and I like to read and I like to base my whole entire life on it. And it tells us that we ourselves are uniquely made, okay? We're qualified to be ourselves. If there's anybody qualified to be me, it's me. If there's anybody qualified to be you, it is you. So be okay with that. Don't compare yourself to everything coming and going. Those standards that we set and we put on other people, It makes us feel like failures when we do that. And again, there's no happiness there when we're feeling like we're failed. All of us have failed before. And when we do those things, man, it's hard to be happy. It's hard to love ourselves. So again, here's what we're talking about today. Episode 72 of Just Talking Life, presented by your friends at Elite Realty Group. We're talking about how to finally, 3 ways to finally love ourselves and be happy. Everybody wants to be happy. If I go show of hands, who wants to be happy? I think we all. Just be happy, man. Just be happy. Stop comparing yourself to other people. That's what you've got to do. That's number 1. Here's the second thing. All right, what do you guys think about that? Do you compare? Are you comparing yourself to other people today? Give me a show of hands on that. Somebody talk to me this morning. Do you compare yourself? I think all of us do that. Again, it's not that we're not trying to get better. It's okay to have a goal. We talk about that on Mondays. It's okay to have those goals, those dreams, those aspirations. But when you look at yourself and you say, I'm not good enough because I don't have this, you've already messed up in the first place. You've already made yourself feel like a failure, and you don't need to do that to yourself, all right? You don't need to do that to yourself. Here's number 2. Don't look outside of yourself, all right, for happiness. So many people, I think you've probably said this to yourself before. If I only had, or once I have, insert whatever that it is, once I have a new job, once I have a new car, once I have more money in my bank account, once I have these things, well, I'll be happy then. Once I do this, once I accomplish that. And we look outside of ourselves and we think happiness is over there somewhere, okay? If happiness is always over there, it's never going to be where we need it to be, and that's with ourselves. People will tell you you don't need to be happy with yourself. That's just a lie, man. You got to get to a place where you understand it's okay to be happy. You know what I mean? It's okay. We live in a world, man, today where everybody's mad. Everybody's angry. Everybody's hateful. You look at it and you wonder and you think, are there any happy people left anywhere anymore? It's because a lot of people are comparing themselves now. Man, I could really get on a soapbox this morning and go with this, but I won't do it just for your sake. But we're comparing against everything, like we're pitting ourselves against each other. And we're looking and we're saying happiness is not where I am, but it's in other places, and there's no way that I can get those other places. And so we think happiness is outside of ourselves. Look, if you're looking for happiness in those things, you might get it for a moment of time. Okay, you might arrive and you might get this rush that's high. That's why, again, this place and a lot of people are in the shape that they're in because they look outside themselves for happiness and they think, I got to have all this stuff and I've got to have these things. And they run up credit card debt and they buy big houses and they drive cars that they shouldn't be, they should have never went and bought and can afford, and those kind of things because they think happiness is outside of themselves. And you know what people end up finding when they get to that place? They end up finding, well, now I've got this, and happiness now is somewhere else. And it's like you're constantly chasing. Y'all ever feel like you're just constantly, man, you're on a hamster wheel? You're just running, you're just moving, you're just going, and you never get to where you go. You're just running on a wheel over and over and over those same things. That's because you're saying happiness is outside of me. Happiness is in another place. Love is in another place, man. If it ain't with us, it ain't going to be nowhere. And so we've got to start looking at it and saying, happiness ain't somewhere else. Now, I agree with you that there's external circumstances, a death of a loved one, a tragic event that happens in our life that directly involves us, and it takes happiness away for us. I agree with that. But again, we've got to stop looking outside of ourselves for happiness. True happiness is very much a mindset. It is a mindset within ourselves, and it's something that we've got to cultivate and come from within ourselves. That's where happiness is. It's not in those other things. You may get a high off of them, but again, I guarantee you all of us have said, if I had a new car before, I'd be so happy. You've only done that to put yourself out and get that new car and think, man, now I need something else. Now I got to get somewhere else. Now I got to do something else, because happiness is always looking at and being in somewhere else. 3 ways to finally love yourself and find happiness this morning is, number 1 is stop comparing yourself to other people. All right, you've got what you need inside of you. Be the person that you need to be. Get up and do what you need to do. Be that person and you're going to be all right. The second thing is don't look outside of yourself for happiness. Here's what I'm going to tell you. If you're going to be happy, you're going to be happy. You're going to have to be the person today that musters up enough strength within yourself to look at it and say, I'm going to be happy. What happened to just being okay with who we are and what we've got? And be okay with our flaws. Be okay with what we're dealing with. What happened to those kind of things? What happened to just saying, you know what? I've got what I got. I am what I am. This is where I'm at. And I'm going to be happy with the person that I'm going to be. I think what we've got to ask ourselves today is, what is the mindset that we have for ourselves? Do we focus more on what we have or what we don't have? Do we focus more on what we have or what somebody else has? And we're saying those are the kind of things that it's going to take to make me happy in my life. There's people right now all over this world that would be totally okay with being in the situation and circumstances and dealing with what you're dealing with today, and they would be 100%. They would be 100% happy with those places and those things that they are in their life. Here's what we're talking about today. 3 ways to finally love yourself and be happy. Episode number 72 of Just Talking Life, presented by your friends at Elite Realty Group. Let's see what some of you are saying. Good morning, Tamara from Nevada. Good morning, Jan Smith. Charlie Groom says, if you feel you got to love yourself before you can love your family or friends, or I feel, he said, and don't try to keep up with the Joneses. I agree. Good morning, Kyle Jerkins. Good morning to each and every one of you. Appreciate you being here today. Last one, and I'll let you go for your Friday. Last thing, the 3 ways to finally love yourself and be happy. Greg says, being able to embrace your flaws and understand that no one is perfect. We all constantly beat ourselves up over the smallest things that aren't really that big of a deal. I agree 100% with you, my man. You're okay with who you are. Here's number 3. Speak to yourself. Talk to yourself as you would speak to a good friend of yours. Now let's get at this right here, okay? A lot of times when we look at these things in our life and we're looking to be, finally love ourselves and be happy, we got to realize, like, our biggest critics is ourselves. We are our own worst enemy sometimes. We are literally our biggest critics. I can almost guarantee you that you're tougher on yourself than you are other people. You're tougher on you than you are other people. Your friends could be dealing with some of these thoughts and emotions that you and I deal with on the day, and they could come to you and talk to you and say, look here, this is where I am. And you'd have a whole lot more empathy. You would have a whole lot more gratitude. You would have a whole lot more care toward them than we actually do ourselves, because we're our biggest critic. Okay, we're our biggest critic. But look here, speak to yourself sometimes as you do other people. People come to you for help. People come to you for a word. People come to you for a little bit of guidance, and you know what you tell them? Look, man, it's going to be all right. You're okay. You're going to get it. You can do it. We give them these good self-talks, and we're like, I got to be there for my buddy, and I got to be there for my friend, and I got to cheer them on, and they're going through a hard time, and they're not happy, and they're just emotionally, they're drained, and we think about this for these other people, but we never think about it for ourselves. So sometimes we got to talk to ourselves how we talk to other people. Sometimes you got to look at yourself in the mirror and say, look here, you can do it. Okay? You got to tell that to yourself. You got to tell yourself it's going to be okay. You got to tell yourself you can keep pushing on. You got to tell yourself that whatever it is, the adversity that you're going through in your life, it's only a moment in time. It's not what defines you, because we're not going to stop and stay here. We're going to push through the adversity and we're going to make it on. Tell yourself you can do those things. We'll tell it to everybody else up and down the road. We'll tell it to our friends, but we won't look at ourselves in the mirror and tell it to ourselves. 3 ways to finally love yourself and find happiness. Just be happy with yourself and talk to yourself like you do other people. Be your cheerleader. Be the person that's cheering you on. Be the person, again, that's saying, look here, man, you can do it. You can get. Don't punish and criticize yourself because you're going through a difficult time in your life, because, again, you're not happy with things. You're not there. Push through. Tell yourself you can do it. Walk on. Move on. Go on. Do the things that you need to do to be who you need to be. If anybody in the whole entire world can do it, I tell you this all the time, you can do it. But sometimes you got to tell yourself you can do it, because look here, you believe what you're telling yourself, all right? Whatever it is that you're speaking to yourself, you believe it, okay? If you're telling yourself you can't do it. You're not going to get there. But talk to yourself like you do other people. Other people confide in you because they know that you're going to be there for them. How many people have told you, man, I just can talk to you. And they come to you and talk to you and you help them. Well, talk to yourself like that. Help somebody, help yourself. You know what I'm saying? We always say a lot of times in a lot of different areas and avenues in our life, before we can really help somebody with a need that they have, we got to first have that ourselves, okay? Somebody needs some money. I can't give them no money if I ain't got none myself. Somebody needs true happiness. I can't help them be happy if I ain't happy myself. So you got to look at that in your life and say, talk to yourself, man, like you're talking to other people. You're telling other people it's going to be okay. Tell yourself it's going to be okay. When you start talking to yourself in that way and reinforcing, look, I can go, I can do, I can be, I can. You start believing that and you start finding that little victories begin happening in your life. And you're not punishing yourself. You're not criticizing yourself. But again, you're telling yourself that you can do it, and then you see yourself, those things start happening in your life. And before you know it, you start finding happiness that's out there that you thought that you never, ever could attain. Here's what we've talked about today. It's good stuff, y'all. I hope that you like that. 3 ways you can finally love yourself and find happiness in your life. Now, I will say this, okay? I will say this to like lay this blanket over the whole entire thing. You know, there are these things in your life that you look at and you say, those are a given before you're ever going to love yourself and find happiness. Your spiritual life is the blanket that lays over all of that. If that ain't right, I don't care what you do. None of the rest is going to be okay. But for the sake of giving you a sermon this morning and making this a spirituality or religious debate, these are the same kind of things that you can talk about and, again, be happy with yourself. I'm going to leave you with this quote today because I saw that this morning, and this is what made me think of this whole entire conversation to have with you today. But I want you to see this quote here as we go and we head on our way today. And this is what it says, all right? Remember, we talked about 3 ways to finally love yourself and be happy. Here's the quote. I love it. Stop hating yourself for everything you aren't, and start loving yourself for everything you already are. Not what you're going to become, not where you're going to go, not what you're going to do, but stop hating yourself for everything you aren't or are not, and start loving yourself for everything that you already are. You got it, y'all. You got it. If anybody's got it, you got it. If anybody can do it, you can do it. If anybody's going to get to where they need to go, it's going to be you that's going to take yourself there. And if anybody in the world can do it, you can do it. I appreciate you being here this morning. I appreciate you being online. Your likes, your shares, your invites, your comments, your loves, everything that you do for us every time that we go live. I appreciate that. Don't forget us on Monday morning for our motivational show. Wake Up Wild. We'll be here with you Monday morning for that. I will go ahead and tell you, be watching all of our shows next week because I've got some stuff here that we're going to be giving away. I've got lots and lots and lots of tickets to a big time event that we're going to start giving away on all of our shows on Monday. So you're going to want to be a part of that. You're going to want to be tuned in to make yourself a winner for some of those things. Until I see you on Monday morning, Dave will be back Monday, I think. Till I see you on Monday morning, have a great weekend. Be safe, be blessed, and remember, man, stop comparing yourself. Don't look outside for your happiness, and talk to yourself like you talk to a good friend. Go do it, y'all. If anybody can, it's you. We'll see you guys on Monday morning. Be safe, be blessed. Over and